As nice as it is that we're making progress in here, I'd prefer to have some idea how far we are from our destination, especially with the encounter rate we have to deal with out here. Sure, we have the option to just pull out if things get especially annoying, but still, Edward just is not contributing much, if at all, to the fighting out here at the moment. Cecile is delivering some damn good hits with his sword, but some hostiles just ignore physical damage. Rydia is certainly putting on the magical hurt, but she's only got so much MP to work with and no real way to recover it outside of items. Okay, no hidden path in that corner. That's definitely not something I'm gonna miss when we get to the three-dimensional part of the series. They just stopped with hidden paths altogether, if I remember right. Doesn't look like there's anything to grab over here, but we may as well check the entire circle around the central area, where we're likely to get into a boss fight. On second thought, with this encounter rate, we're probably going to want to go for the boss instead of aimlessly wandering around and hoping to see some hidden path or item. Sure, we're gaining experience and getting stronger, but again, we've got the issue of just how much MP to work with Rydia has. I wish we could get away with fighting without using magic, but considering the enemies we're running into and the makeup of our three-man team, that's not all that feasible, and I doubt that a boss 6 clips in is going to be an absolute cakewalk. Though maybe I'm just being paranoid. Probably should have healed Edward sooner than that, but then it's not like we've been relying on him. Sadly enough, he's the one who needs to hold Rydia's hand to cross the street, not the other way around. A little harsh, but considering what we've seen so far, it feels fair. We'll see if it changes. Okay, apparently you were wrong about them not attacking humans. One of the Red Wings back in the first clip did mention that monsters were getting more numerous and aggressive for some reason. Maybe Edward never got any similar reports? Anyway, not much of a fan of the appearance of the antlion in this game. Not that I have all that much of an idea of what a creature should look like with that kind of name, but I was expecting either more of a segmented bug eye look rather than the odd cat eyes with no lids thing, and maybe it being more worm-like, or maybe just give it 6 legs, not a quadruped here. There just aren't enough bug-like features on this thing. And nothing to give it a feel of a sandworm of some kind. It's just an odd combination of mammal and insect features that don't really come together too well. Really wish that the potion's description would mention just how much health it heals. Wait, 96? Why 96 instead of 100? Is the item just more effective outside of a fight? Or is there something that Cecile's wearing that's lessening the effect of the healing item? Okay, so it's not Cecile-centric here. Edward only got 96 health from that potion as well. Kind of odd. 40 MP from an ether, at least that's a well-rounded number. Just how much more abuse can that thing take? I know it's a boss, but still, it's not really throwing all that much abuse at us. so I'm not expecting it to be all that durable. And apparently, just after I asked, the thing was nearly dead anyway. That went reasonably well. Now to use this sand pearl to heal Rosa. I'm not all that clear how this thing is supposed to help deal with the vague disease of desert fever. Still, once we get her back on her feet, I'm sure the plot will focus more on us fighting against the Kingdom of Marin. As a side note, I do like the bit of world building that monsters aren't usually this much of a problem in this world. So, what we've been dealing with has been a bit of an aberration, something that's meant to be a sign that all is not right with the world as a whole. And considering the plots of Final Fantasy 1 and 3, it probably has something to do with the crystals that Baron has such an interest in. So when Edward can attack these Leshy ladies, he does a respectable amount of damage now. It's just that he misses all too often for my tastes. And great. Now we've got a pair of turtles to deal with immediately after the gas woman things. Definitely feels like Edward is to some degree starting to be able to hold his own now in terms of offense. It did not take all that long, but still. Wonder why it took me so long to bother going to that particular item box, considering we've passed it a time or two before now. Ah, well, I suppose it's not all that important. At the moment, we just need to save, then start heading back to the castle. Huh. Rydia's nearly got as much MP as Tellah did. Wonder how long until she surpasses his magical stamina. But then she's a summoner, white mage, and black mage all rolled into one. If she doesn't grow up to be some kind of magical ace to obscene degrees, it'd be a bit awkward. And great. Now part of me wants her to eventually learn how to use a sword, since she's got a pretty firm connection to Cecile here. We haven't outright seen him treat her like an adoptive daughter, but it wouldn't be that much of a stretch in terms of characterization considering the foundation they have. Though, her becoming physically adept might end up making her absolutely brokenly awesome or something. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things develop between the two as the game goes on. Well, that's two down in a hurry. Now to deal with the third. We've certainly hit our stride out here, at least for the moment. I'm certainly not feeling all that worried on our way out of the dungeon. Three goblins and a basilisk, huh? Kinda hard to feel worried about that, considering some of the other things we've ripped through in here. Hell, Rydia can manage to kill a goblin with pure physical might. Those are about as basic as they come in this game. I don't really remember seeing goblins all that often in the later Final Fantasy games, though. Do they only show up in the games with a blatant medieval style setting, or am I just not remembering them in the steampunk and sci-fi inspired iterations? Ah, well. Time to get our hovercraft to the previous town. guess I'll check if there's a way to get the two people stuck in the castle to the town. Probably not. They're likely just gonna stay in this castle for the entire rest of the game, stranded and always repeating their lines. Still, no harm in making sure. Sir, we do have a hovercraft and some empty seats. You two aren't exactly imprisoned in this room with the healing pot. I suppose I appreciate the fact that there's a staircase to nowhere in here. It helps to convey the idea that the attack left the castle destroyed to the point that there are sections nobody can ever get to anymore. It would have been even better if we saw some doors that were blocked off by collapsed rubble or something. But I suppose that castle is not meant to be important enough to be worthy of that kind of attention to detail. Anyway, while I know we're supposed to go back to the previous town by using the hovercraft, I kind of want to see how far back we can go using the cave system we came in from. Who knows, we might find some items I managed to miss in our first time through. I doubt it, but there's no harm in checking, and we could use the money and experience. Kind of annoying that we weren't even allowed to choose what move Rydia would do until Cecile and Edward were done taking their swings. Her bar was full. Still feel like Thunder should have more of an effect on some clearly aquatic enemies. I also find it weird to see clearly water monsters standing on some very dry land. Well, the mini-mages are gone. That's the biggest threat from that group. Ice does not have any more impact on the fishmen than lightning did. Do you mean to tell me their weakness is fire? Because if that's the case, oh dear, that's the one element we don't have. And now for a bunch of toads, again on some dry-looking land. I know I complained about it the first time we went through this dungeon, and I know it's just a visual thing, since the caves we're going through actually do have a good amount of water in them. It's just that the generic cave battle zone we see things in doesn't show said water. And still, why not program in the idea of us fighting with the water-based cave background, since we know that this cave does have water in it? It would look less strange when we zoom into the battle screen. And the last toad manages to kill itself, saving us a bit of trouble. But then I suppose I entered this cave looking for trouble. I'm not outright trying to grind for money and experience, but that's certainly going to be a benefit as we walk through this place. It's not like we're gaining anything else. As a side note, I'm a bit disappointed that when we're transformed into a frog, that we don't just hop around in the overworld instead of walking. Would that have just been too troublesome to program in or something? Huh. One hit kill, despite the fact that it was in the back line and Cecile has a very melee-centric weapon. That's a good sign we've been getting stronger. The confused Sangin landed a short first, but it's still nice to see that both mini-mages are gone in a hurry. What can I say, they did a good job of making me feel scared earlier in the game, and while we've gotten to a level that means we're above them to a solid degree now, their first impression is sickin' with me. And that's more than can be said for a good number of other monsters we typically deal with around here. I wonder what the chances are for causing confusion with that weapon. We've certainly been getting lucky with it in this clip, that's for sure. Looks like we've gone about as far as we can into the caves, at least from this direction. I'm not even too sure why I decided to run away from that fight, considering the other fights we've gone through. At the very least, alligators have less of a gimmick going on for them than the toadgers. Maybe it was just a combination of them attacking us from behind and Edward's low health at the moment? And yet another water-based beast that doesn't get all that hurt by lightning. I've now got this mental image of Lieutenant Surge being extremely annoyed if he and his team was sent to a Final Fantasy world. Edward's certainly carrying his weight by now, even if he's the weakest of the three we've got at this point. I'm not really expecting all that much from Rosa when we finally get her on the team. She's probably going to be several levels behind everyone else when we finally get her out of that bed. Right. This kind of mouse thing needs fire magic to kill in a hurry, and we don't have that element on call. Excuse me for expecting Edward's rather unorthodox style of attacking enemies to do more damage to the things that are extremely physically resistant. Why did one take 20 in damage and the other took 40 when they were both the same kind of monster with the same resistances? Ugh. Anyway, back to the castle and its healing pots, then we're going to actually get back on the road and head to Rosa. Okay, I was not aware that a random encounter in this game could throw so many enemies at us at once. It's not insurmountable, they're just goblins. Still, it gave me a bit of a horrifying thought of having to fight against 8 dragons at once in the endgame or something. Eight goblins is barely a speed bump, but I was somehow expecting more experience points considering we were fighting 8 enemies in a single encounter. Right, we're officially healed. Back to the hovercraft and to the main plot. Anyone else getting the feeling that the hovercraft kinda looks like a Star Wars speeder? At least if you ignore the propeller on the back. course we can't land when there's no land beneath us. It's pretty self-explanatory that you can't land where there's no land. I'm not even sure why I tried. Okay, what am I even looking for at the moment? It's not like the building that Rosa is in is all that hard to find. Ah, so we're going to have to select the key item, and it's mixed in there with all the regular items. Definitely annoying and something I hope the series moves on from. But I suppose it could have been worse. Considering it's you who's bedridden, I'm pretty sure that you were in more danger than Cecile here. And just who are they that told you that? I was kinda hoping for some more information about Golbez. Outside of the tidbit that he might be the one actually in charge, and not the king, it doesn't feel all that interesting. Right. He's halfway to having the full collection then. So either we're going to stall him out on the next two for a good amount of time, or there's going to be some stuff beyond the 4 crystals in this game. Well, at least she wants to get moving to the next major location the Baron military would be going for. That's something. Ice, huh? I don't suppose we can climb the ice or something, can we? It's also a very traumatic kind of magic for the poor girl, since she saw her hometown burn in front of her. I would have liked for Cecile to mention that little mental block so it doesn't come across as Rosa coming across as a bit unempathetic. There's a good amount of room for some more character interactions and nice bouncing back and forth here. And part of me is pretty annoyed that the characters aren't interacting with one another at the level that would take full advantage of all the potential I'm seeing here. Still, there's a good deal more back and forth in inter-team dynamics than in Final Fantasy 1 or 3. I guess Edward just wants a moment alone. Understandable, he's probably still reeling. Wish I could have seen what kind of relationship the two of you had instead of just meeting her in her dying moments. Wait, what? Since when do monsters like this attack someone in the middle of a damn town? I thought towns were a safe zone. Well, he would be fighting if it wasn't for the ghost lady making its brain freeze up in the middle of the fight. And he immediately misses when she disappears. Lovely. Well, at least that was an easy one-on-one fight for him to handle, despite him being not an especially great combatant. I never really questioned his heart. He's got plenty of reason to be down in the dumps and to want to stop the country of Baron. I feel like he deserved a bit more time to grieve and digest what's happened in his life before getting into this adventure, though. The only thing I really question is his ability in the actual fights, considering my fighting style and this style of game. This scene, while kind of out of nowhere, is a good way to firm up his determination to try to save the world, but as far as I can tell, this doesn't make him a more effective combatant than just plain leveling up would or giving him better gear. It's a solid scene and a damn good character moment, a nice showcase that the series is heading in a more character-focused direction than its origins. But it felt like there was room to make it have a bit more impact with the player there. Oh, don't worry too much. Cecile most definitely doesn't want her to go through any harm. Unfortunately, our small crew is going to try to wage war against the greatest country on this planet. I'm very much afraid that danger is on the menu. Rose is an archer, something that hasn't been a thing in the series until now, as far as I know. And, oh dear. There's a reason the Pixel Remaster just stops bothering with arrows working this way. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold that line of thought and just move things around, rearrange the team so everyone who needs to be in the back row is actually back there. Dear God, why is it that this far in, our only frontline fighter is Cecile? When the hell are we gonna get Kane back? Really wish I could just tell an individual character to be in the front or back row, but that won't be a thing until the next game. And I'm pretty sure the remake of this game keeps this particular arrangement annoyance. I certainly know they kept it for the Pixel Remaster, though I suppose it does make the game distinctive compared to the rest of the franchise, as does the fact that the maximum party size is 5 people large in this game, when most other Final Fantasies go for either 3 or 4 at a time. Alright, our formation is actually good now. Cecile has the 2 most important girls in his life at each shoulder, and Edward is a little distant from the rest. They may have a common enemy, but he doesn't really have a personal connection to anyone on this team. And there's not much of a connection between Rosa and Rydia. They just both have a connection to Cecile at this moment. I'm kind of hoping to see everyone on the team develop friendships among one another and start bouncing off, but that might be asking for too much from a game this old. Especially since what little character development and interactions we're going to get are still pretty damn innovative for their time. As a side note, I'm kind of annoyed that we're not seeing much in terms of equipment upgrades for anyone from a store when we're 6 clips in. Maybe when we finally get to the next town, it'll start happening. And that's gonna have to wait until next time.